Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to your calendar's franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we took on the Montreal Canadiens in the first round of playoffs, and it was a pretty solid round for our team as we managed to get ourselves here to the second round, where we're obviously going to be taking on our rivals from New York in the New York Rangers, so it should be an interesting matchup. We'll get that primed up in a little bit. But you can see with this series with the Montreal Canadiens, it went to 6 games. It was an interesting series because not a lot of scoring and pretty close games every single game for the most part. Game 1, we ended up winning in overtime. Then we lost 2-0, so at that point, not really too sure what to make of it. Then we win 2 straight games, 3-1 and 3-0, so 2 very good defensive efforts. Then we probably had our worst defensive effort of the series where we lost 4-3. And the goaltending results weren't super good in that one. But then we responded with a good victory where we found our offense a little bit more to normal. And we also still played that great defensive hockey. So currently, as of right now, going into the second round matchup, I think it said that we are the best defensive team in the playoffs remaining right now, which is great. So 1.83 goals against per game. Also, you can see that we're pretty okay in terms of the penalty kill. It's not necessarily the greatest. It's 12th. It's 83.3%, but it is better than the Rangers. The one thing that the Rangers are better at is the power play and also the goals for. So basically, this matchup for round 2 should be determined between basically if we can contain Guerin on their team or not. If we can't contain Guerin, who is a 98 overall, we are definitely going to be in a bad state. So it should be interesting. It's basically a good offensive team versus a good defensive team, but technically, the Rangers' offensive core, I would say, is not much better than ours, really, because we have the better depth. It's that they have the superstar player in Guerin, and then also Wallace, I guess, technically, too, because Wallace could set him up. But this is what the Rangers are looking like going into this playoff matchup, and it's, like I said, it's not necessarily the strongest forward group in the world, but they do have some pieces, and Guerin could literally turn any of these guys into studs, probably, if they're playing near him. So Guerin, if he's on the ice, we got to definitely watch out for him. Hopefully he maybe gets injured or something like that in like one of the early games, because this guy is an absolute stud. He's almost making $20 million, but definitely worth every single penny, because 3 straight 70-goal seasons, and he's had a ton of over 100-point seasons already in his career as well. He's only 29 years old too, which is actually the age I just turned as of this recording, because I am recording it on my birthday. And you could also see his playoff numbers have been insane. He's just a friggin' crazy guy for 29 years old. Like, he could definitely play still right till the end of this franchise mode, maybe even longer than that. So, Guerin is definitely next level. And, of course, our former player, Quincy Wallace, has become a stud since joining the Rangers because he's getting to play with Guerin. And then their defensive core is not too bad. It's not very good either, though, but they do have a former defenseman in Pecker, which I almost forgot all about him, but we realized in last episode that he used to play with us. And then from a goaltending perspective, they do actually have some good goaltending, so that's a little bit worrisome. But I think it's going to be an interesting matchup for us here in the second round. Hopefully we find a way to contain Guerin, get ourselves to that conference finals, and hopefully beyond that as well. But anyways, before we get into this matchup with the New York Rangers, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll make sure we're ready to go for the second round. So the first and only comment is from Sanataku, who says, if your defense can keep Guerin in check, no pun intended, you should have no problems beating the Rangers. And that's pretty much what I see it as well, because like I said, Guerin's been an insane player the last few years, or just in his entire career in general. If we could contain him, I don't see the offense, like the other guys on our team, stepping up as much. But obviously if Guerin goes quiet and their offense comes from other players, that's going to be where it's a little bit on the iffy side of things, because we don't really want their depth scoring to do well, because obviously, like I said, they're a good offensive team, but I think it's more reliant on Guerin. And I was actually looking back on the calendar and seeing how we did against them during the regular season, and we've actually had some pretty good meetings against the Rangers in the regular season. Not that it really means anything when you get to the playoffs and all that, but you could see, as if I scroll down here, our first meeting against the Rangers, we won 4-3 in a shootout, so a pretty close game. The next game we lost 6-5 in regulation, so that's still pretty close, but that was in their building. Then we didn't play them all the way until, I think it was March, I said? Yeah, all the way till March. March, though, after the trade deadline and everything, so basically when both teams had their roster set up, we smoked them 8-1 in that one. And that's pretty insane. That one also, we had Menard in net. I was looking at the box score before I recorded this. That's why I know. So we had won with our backup goalie and won 8-1 in that one. which is fantastic. And in the last meeting, we won 4-2. So after the trade deadline, we won both games against their squad with their new players, because they did bring in some players like William Eklund, for instance, who was on that top line center spot. He was actually acquired from the Philadelphia Flyers apparently at the trade deadline. So they did make some adjustments. That's one thing I think is a little bit weak on their team, is their center depth. But anyways, if you put a player next to Guerin, he's going to put up a lot of points, because I think Eklund was over point per game as a Ranger through 20 games. So yeah, hopefully we can find a way to contain Guerin. Hopefully we can find ways to score goals on Tuulola, and hopefully we can find ourselves in the conference finals in a few games. So with that said, I think we're pretty much ready to get into this matchup. I don't know if I want to make any line adjustments before I start this. I don't think so. I don't think we do. We are a clean bill of health to start off this next round, which is great. I think we'll go with this, and obviously if there's any like defensive liabilities or offensive liabilities, maybe we make some adjustments. But for right now, we'll run with this, see how it does, and hopefully it'll be good enough to get us a series win against our New York rivals. This should be a good matchup. I don't think we've played them in a few years, to be honest. So we haven't really had that rivalry with them before in the playoffs. So hopefully that rivalry maybe starts in the series here. They're 4-1 in the playoffs so far. We're 4-2. Let's hop into game one. We got a home ice advantage, of course. Let's see if we could use it to our advantage. Obviously, we know there's going to be a lot of Rangers fans still in the crowd, despite it being a home game. So let's see what happens. First period, game number 1. Hey, that's not what I wanted to see. Solovyov was really good in the first round, so to see him off to a bad start in the first period is not ideal. Pecker scores first, so of course it's our former defenseman who I almost forgot about. Now I will always remember Pecker, I guess. Copeland scores to make it 2-0, and they're out shooting us 12-7. So what I said, I think in the end of last episode, is we need to make sure we still play our good defensive style, and so far we have not done that. So far, the Rangers are playing more to their strength, which is their goal scoring ability. And like I said, it's not good to get have them scoring goals from other players other than Guerin, because if Guerin's just doing all the work, we hypothetically should be able to win. But if they're getting offense from other guys, and then they get offense from Guerin, it's going to be really tough to match up with them. So we got to be careful here. Let's respond with 2 goals of our own in the second period if we can. Second period. 3-1, I mean, we're still within 2 at least, but Eklund made it 3-0, so that's probably a goal that Guerin assisted on because Eklund's a top-line guy. Mäkinen gets us on the board for the first time in the series. Shots are 25-17 in favor of the Rangers. I don't know if I would really put this game on Solovyov right now or what, but we definitely need to find a way to start clawing back early in this third period if we want to have any chance at winning this first game. Let's see what happens. Third period underway. Come on, boys, let's get that next one. If we get that next one, we could still tie it. They get a short-handed goal from Kavanagh, of all people. Makes it 4-1. Kavanagh then gets a power play goal to make it 5-1. Oh, boy. Well, we might have to make some adjustments after just game 1 alone. Maybe Menard's the type of goalie we want to put in against the Rangers because he was good against them in the regular season. Crane makes it 5-2, but it's way too late. Power play late, too. We do not score. And that is the final. We got outshot 39-31. We lose 5-2. Like I said, I'm not too sure if I would put that type of game on Solovyov or if it was on the defensive core. Like, if we go back through their goals here, actually, quickly. Pecker's goal was from around the exact same spot as Copeland. What about else we got here? Eklund was from, like, kind of in close. So maybe it's more on our defense. Kavanagh shorthanded. That should be more on our defense and stuff. And Kavanagh there, too. Yeah, I'm not too sure what we need to address going forward, but that's definitely not the type of game you want to see to start off a round, especially when I thought our team had a chance, and I should have moved my face back up here. Sorry about that. So Mäkinen from Houghton and Crane, and then we have Crane from Bjorkstrand and Mäkinen. So Mäkinen and Mäkinen and Crane both had 2 points, which is good, but likely they had bad plus minuses. And how much points did Guerin have against us, out of curiosity, did I see? 1 assist, 2 assists. Yeah, he had 2 assists against us. Didn't score a goal, but like I said, he could literally get anybody to start scoring goals too. So got to be aware about that. So Mäkinen was actually plus somehow in that game. But yeah, everybody else was minus. And then goaltending, an 872 from Solovyov. Like I said, he faced 39 shots. So allowing 5 goals might not be the worst. But obviously, I hope that he can get back to what he was doing against the Habs. 3 stars of the game, Kavanagh, Crane, and Tuulola. All right. Okay, so what do we want to do? Do we want to already make some adjustments, or is it just a small hiccup in the system from this team? Hard to say. Hard to say, because now that we lost a home game, we need to win a road game for sure. But that is 2 losses in our last 3 games when you look at it back to the Montreal series. And in those 2 losses, we got outscored 9-5. So, yeah, I think we're going to maybe look into some adjustments already. A little bit of adjustments. I just don't know what. Like I said, I wouldn't mind giving Menard a playoff game, but I'm not too sure if it's too early to do that. Because like I said, Solovyov was fantastic first round. That game, not so much. Should I give Menard a playoff game? Because like I said, Menard's had some good playoffs in the past with the LA Kings. Won a Stanley Cup back in 2038. So, you know what? I think I'm going to give Benjamin Menard 1 game. I know it's a little bit of a risk, but maybe Solovyov just needs a little bit of a break. Aside from that, we do need our offense to get going against the Rangers a bit. So let's go with Ragnarsson top line, Bjorkstrand second line. Everything else will probably stay the same. Maybe defensively we can make adjustments. Maybe not. I kind of like these pairings the way they are. Yeah, let's just try Menard in net and that little flip-flop on the top 6 and see if that helps anything out at all. Because if Menard could come in, steal us a game, and then maybe Solovyov could get his mojo back, that would be nice. So maybe Solovyov is kind of getting, he is getting old, so maybe he's at the point in his career where he can't play too many consecutive games. I honestly don't know, but let's give Menard a chance. Like I said, he had an 8-1 win during the regular season against the Rangers, and he was pretty good in that game, so we might as well try him in the playoffs against them as well and see if he could tie the series up. Like I said, that's why we brought Menard in, was more in case of Solovyov not performing. He didn't perform that last game. We might as well give him at least 1 chance. All right, let's get to game number 2. We're still on home ice. If we could win this game and then win one on the road at Madison Square Garden, we'll be back to square one, basically. So let's find a way to win here and build off this win, hopefully. First period, game 2. Scoreless. That's better than last game, but we are being outshot after the first period. But at least we're not down by 2 goals like we were last time. Shots are 14-9 in favor of them, but nobody has scored so far, so pretty solid period from Menard. Let's see if we could find our offensive game a bit more so in the second period. Second period? Still scoreless. Okay, this is a pretty insane game so far. We're out shooting them now 28-21, so it's a battle of Tulola and Menard. They didn't get a lot of chances that period. We got a ton of chances, but we haven't scored since last game. I'm kind of a little bit worried about our offense drawing up because we only have the 2 goals through 5 periods, I guess, at this point. So if our offense continues to not do well, we might have to make more adjustments to the core just to see if we could find ways to get that offense to flow a little bit better. But we're in this game. Let's see if we could find a way to break this deadlock in the third period. Come on, boys. This is crucial. Let's see what happens. Penalty kill to start the third, and Guerin, of course, scores on Menard. I don't know who took that penalty, but it wasn't really smart taking a penalty that early on. Their power play has gotten goals in multiple games, so maybe we need to make adjustments. Bjorkstrand ties it up at 1, so the top 6 adjustments maybe helped out there a little bit because Bjorkstrand got moved down to the second line. And then we take the lead. Gustafsson, of all people, the guy we brought in from Chicago, has given us a 2-1 victory in a game that I thought we were going to lose. But what a performance from Menard in his playoff debut as a starter for your New York Islanders. 33 saves on 34 shots. And Gustafsson, who was also brought in for these playoffs just to be better defensively. He was brought in at the start of the season, but he was brought in because he was a better fit for our top 6 pairings. Actually, no, he's not a good fit for our top 6 pairings. It was Fisher that was. I think Gustafsson is one of these guys that still isn't a great fit for our top 6, but he comes in and picks up a huge goal. He's not a huge goal scorer either, so that's a massive win to tie the series up, and that's definitely the type of game we're going to win. We're definitely a good defensive team. We're not an offensive first team, I guess, in the playoffs. So if we play to our strength, which is defense, we'll win a lot more games. But Bjorkstrand from Holmstrom and Cialfito, and then with only a few minutes left, Gustafsson's first to the playoffs from Mishenko and Schaefer. Nice. Good little win there. Good little win there. Gustafsson is +1. Schaefer was +2, so he's out there for both goals. And yeah, 971 save percentage from Menard. So, like I said, that's why I brought Menard in. I could play him again next game, but maybe we want to go back to Solovyov for a game just to see if he's back to being ready again. But maybe Menard's the type of goalie that we could run for multiple games in a row and help Solovyov a little bit. But both goalies get the first 2 stars, and Gustafsson the 3rd star of the game. But nice win there. Gives us at least a tie series headed to Madison Square Garden. Hopefully we can find ways to win on the road too, because that would be fantastic. But yeah, Menard's numbers against the Rangers seem to be pretty good. I don't know what his career numbers, or not necessarily career numbers, his regular season numbers total were against the Rangers. I actually should take a look at that, because maybe that makes a difference in terms of how we'll simulate against them. Let's see. Let's look at the goalie numbers. So Solovyov against the Rangers in this season, how has he been against them? So, like, if we look at split stats and we look against the New York Rangers, an 881 save percentage. I don't know if that's based on some of the last game at all, but 2-1 record and 881. That's not very good. He has never been very good against the Rangers this season. Benjamin Menard, on the other hand, if we go to his split stats against the Rangers, he's rocking a 929 save percentage and a 1.9 goals against average. Because he obviously won the regular season game 8-1. And he only allowed 1 goal in that game. And in this playoff game, he only allowed 1 goal as well. He must have came in relief that game or something like that. I don't know. Seems kind of strange, the numbers. But still, he has much better numbers against the Rangers than Solovyov does. Kind of makes me want to start Menard for the 2nd straight game. So I think I'm going to do that, but I might go back to Solovyov if we lose this game. And it's not going to be on Menard that I make the adjustment. It's just more Menard is... He's not our number 1 goalie, but if he's going to play good against the Rangers, maybe we need to keep him in for multiple games. But if he plays obviously a really bad game, maybe take him out and then we go back to actually Solovyov. All right, so I think we'll keep the rest of the team the same in this one. Obviously, the series is now shifting to Madison Square Garden, so hopefully we can find a way to win at least one of these 2 games, and then we'll be in still a solid spot, because obviously if we lose both, it's not great, so we don't want that to happen. Hopefully Menard could have 2 straight games where he's very good, because if that is the case, maybe we run him until he just has his wheels fall off, but he looked really good in that first game of this series. All right, let's get to game number 3. Let's keep it the same for the most part. Let's see if we can play another good defensive game and get some good goaltending as well. First period, game 3. 1-0 Rangers. Not ideal, but it's better than being down 2-0 like we were in game 1. Last time the Rangers were only able to score 1 goal against us, so that's not super ideal that Barnes scored. But shots are pretty even, so it's a close game, 11-10, and it's a 1-0 game. Can we find a way to tie this game up in the second and maybe grab that lead as well? Second period, 1-1. Okay, Menard's still playing really good. Biggers ties the game up at 1 apiece. Shots are 20-16, so maybe Menard's the type of goalie we want to run against the Rangers. Like I said, regular season he was good in that one meeting, 8-1, and then we put him in these last 2 games, and he's been pretty damn solid so far, so maybe we need to look into those type of numbers a little bit more, which goalie was hotter against the team that we face. Okay, anyways, it's a tie game going into the third. It's pretty similar to last game. Can we find a way to get that lead in the third period and maybe take the series lead? Let's see what happens. Third period underway. Come on, boys. Power play for us, and we do take the lead. It's Korolyuk of all people. Okay, Korolyuk, I see you. I see you, 4th line guy. That's a big goal from the pending UFA to give us our lead. We're into the final 10 minutes. Come on, boys. You got this. Just play that strong defensive style. I know you guys have strong defense. And we do win another one, 2-1. So another good effort from Menard. So maybe Menard's going to start again next game. I don't really want to keep Solovyov on the bench all these times, but Menard's showing that he's been brought in for the right reasons. Shots 29-25 in favor of the Rangers. We win 2-1 off a power play goal from Korolyuk. Let's go. We're playing to our strength now. We're not allowing them to score a lot of goals like they were in the early stages of the series. So Biggers from Leahy and Gustafsson, and then Korolyuk from Bjorkstrand and Ragnarsson. No points in that game from Guerin, which is also a big bonus. Let's go. No crazy plus minuses. And then goalies, 966 from Menard. Well, maybe we found the goalie that knows how to play in the playoffs. And it's Menard. He gets first star, Tulo, second star again, and Biggers the 3rd star. All right. Well, so far so good these last 2 games. Obviously, like I said, the first game in the series wasn't the best, but since then we've been finding that defensive identity again, which is absolutely huge. And the crazy thing is we're not even running our starting goaltender right now, too. Hopefully, Menard could give us 3 straight games where he's really good. We could definitely go to either goalie at this point in the rest of these playoffs, too, it seems like, because Menard's been so good. Solovyov is really good in the first round, but it seems like in the regular season he wasn't good against the Rangers, so maybe it makes sense to just keep running Menard against the Rangers, because maybe he's the thorn in their side. All right, so we have a 2-1 series lead. We are still on the road. Can we take a 3-1 series lead, or are the Rangers going to find a way to tie it, and is it going to become a best of 3 after this game? If we play good defensively, we definitely could win this game. If we give them goals, that's going to be where it's going to be tough for us to win. Because we haven't still scored a ton of goals in the series. We're scoring like 2 goals a game, but we're just a very stingy defensive team. We do not give up a lot when we do score 2 goals or more. So let's see what happens. Game 4 on the road still. Can we take a 3-1 series lead? First period, game 4. 3-1 us. Okay, we have found our offense now, which is good to see. And we also played good defensively in that period for the most part. Now, we did allow a goal on 4 shots, but at least it was still a good period. Mäkinen scores first. Guerin scores for them a couple minutes later. Literally a minute later or so, Giordano gives us the lead, and then Giordano scores with 5 minutes left. Shots are 13-4 in favor of us, so pretty dominant period in terms of chances. And also we have a 2-goal advantage. I don't really like that Menard allowed a goal on 4 shots only, but like I said, he's been helping us out in terms of getting back into the series. So if he doesn't play good the rest of this game and we still end up winning, maybe we go back to Solovyov just to give Menard a break, because maybe Menard's not used to multiple starts in a row. But so far, so good here in the first period. Can we find a way to continue on with this path and hold on to this lead as well? We don't want them to get back into this game at any capacity. Don't allow them to pull within 1 going into the third, because that might not be that good. See what happens. Second period. 5-2. Okay, we do hold that lead intact. Houghton made it 4-1. Copa made it 4-2. And Cialfito scores with 6 minutes left on the power play. We're up by 3 goals going into the third. We're out shooting him 32-13. So I think our team has found its offensive game, which is good. And we're still playing that stingy defensive game. Like, we've only given up 2 goals. We haven't given up a lot of shots on goal either, though. So Menard's not having the strongest game, but we aren't giving them a lot of opportunities to score on, which is absolutely great. So can we close them off in this final 20 minutes and take a 3-1 stranglehold? Let's see what happens. Come on, boys. Just lock this game down. Don't need to get too fancy. Let's see if we could lock it down. We don't score on that 5-on-3, but it did take a lot of time off the clock, which is good. Final 10 minutes of the third period, still up by 3 goals. Penalty kill here late in the game. We do kill that off. Nicely done. And your New York Islanders are going to be taking a 3-1 series lead headed home, as we've won 3 straight games here in this postseason. We outshot them 41-19 in this game, so complete domination in terms of play. And we will be 1 win away from the conference finals. Let's go. So Mäkinen from Houghton and Crane. Then we had Giordano from Cialfito and Bjorkstrand, and Giordano from Carlton and Cialfito. Then we had Houghton from Tatar and Cialfito. Cialfito from Mäkinen and Koryuk. So Cialfito had a huge game, and that propels us to this victory. A lot more penalty calls to the Rangers in that game, so we are getting them running around a lot, I guess. And here's the player stats. Cialfito, 4 points. Everybody else was 2 points and less, but some really solid plus minuses from especially this line, which is the second line. And then Giordano had like 10 shots on goal in that game. So Giordano was shooting a lot of pucks, so a lot of guys were getting some good chances. Goaltending numbers, .890 from Menard. Like I said, not a great game from Menard, but yeah, the defensive play in front of him was good because we didn't give up a ton of shots. Cialfito first star, Giordano second star, Houghton the third star. So I think we're going to go back to Solovyov for this next game, but I think we should be okay. Apparently Tatar's losing morale due to ice time, which I don't understand why he is, because I'm pretty sure he should be getting a good chunk of ice time. So a little bit concerned on that, but we won't worry about that until the off season. Anyway, 7-3 in the playoffs. We've won 3 straight games. 3 straight games where we've given up 2 or less goals as well since game 1. We are going to try Solovyov this game just because Menard wasn't as strong in the last game. But let's see if we could close out the New York Rangers and get ourselves to that conference finals. It might be Toronto we end up playing potentially in that conference finals, which we played Toronto in the conference finals, I think, a couple of years ago. And we've been playing so many Canadian teams in the conference finals. It's actually kind of insane. So let's get to Game 5 and see if we could close them out in our home building. And let's see if Solovyov could get back his game after he's not played the last 3. First period, Game 5. 1-0 us. Good start. Good start. Bigris with the goal. Shots are 12-10, so pretty even period for the most part. And a decent period from the team defensively again. That Bigris goal was like from literally right in the crease almost, it looks like. So he must have been right on top of the goaltender, or he deflected a puck in or something like that. But big first goal. Can we find a way to keep this lead intact in the second period? Maybe get some insurance for the third period. Second period. 2-0 us. Let's go. Giordano scores again. Giordano starting to heat up quite a bit. Like I said, he had 10 shots on goal last game, which is absolutely insane. And he gives us a 2-goal lead going into the third. He had 2 goals last game as well, so this is looking good so far. Shots are still pretty even, though. We're only up by 2 goals, so we got to be careful. But let's just keep playing that good defensive style we've been playing these last few games, and we should be able to close the series out here. Let's see what happens. Third period underway. Come on, boys. Penalty kill to start the third, and they get a power play goal, and of course it's Guerin. God damn it, boys. I don't know who took that penalty, but you got to be a little bit more disciplined in the third, but we answer back with a power play goal of our own. It is Mäkinen. That's a huge answer there from Mäkinen. Final few minutes, still up by a pair of goals. Can we lock this down? The answer is yes, we can. They had 40 shots on goal, but Solovyov stopped 39. We are going to the conference finals on some very good defensive and goaltending efforts. Final shots were exactly even, too, in that game, so the Rangers tried for it, but they just could not get it done. They had all their offense in Game 1 and could not score again afterwards. That's a very good performance from our team again. Biggers from Crane and Leahy, Giordano from Sealfido and Bjorkstrand, and then Mäkinen scored from Sealfido and Crane. Let's friggin' go, boys. Huge, huge, huge. So it doesn't really matter which goalie we go to. We find ways to play good defensively in front of them. Solovyov first star, Giordano second star, Sealfido the third star. All right, so we took them out a lot easier than I expected. I thought that was going to be a 7-game series. We lost game 1, but we've won 4 straight games, and we've only given up 2 goals one time. Everything else has been 1 goal against. So this team knows how to play defense, which is fantastic. They've learned from their mistakes in the past so far. Let's take a look at some stats for us after that round. So let's see our player leaders. Yeah, we don't have a lot of offense going through our team. Like, we have good depth scoring, but we don't have guys running around with points. Like, Crane's over point per game, Sealfido's point per game, Bjorkstrand's just under point per game. And then same with Mäkinen. But Giordano's only on 6 points. He did have a good round, but we are definitely more of a defensive team. So we got to make sure we don't give up a lot of goals, or else we're not going to be able to come back in games. But so far, it seems like everybody's doing a good job here. Everybody in the playoffs has a point on our team, and we probably have a goal from almost everybody too. From a goalie perspective, Solovyov has a 928, and then Menard has a 951. We are definitely playing to our strengths here in these playoffs, which is fantastic to see. Let's take a look at goals for a second. So Leahy still has no goals, which is a bit disappointing. So I still want something out of him. So far, Schaefer and Tatar have no goals, but those are the only 3 guys who haven't scored so far. So yeah, the one I would want to see scoring a goal soon is Leahy, because he deserves to score goals, and he should be in a position to score goals. But he doesn't have any goals when Fisher has a goal, and he only played 2 games as a DFD. Or no, 2-way defenseman, never mind. So we got to be a little bit careful on that Leahy is not performing. Maybe he's an off-season trade-away player, but right now we need to focus, obviously, on the task at hand, which is hopefully winning a Stanley Cup. All right, the question is, who are we going to be facing in the conference finals? Is it going to be Toronto or Boston? Boston would be an interesting one, because I don't know if we've ever played against them in the playoffs there. It's been a long time since we did, if we did play them. Let's see what we got here. They're going to Game 7, Boston-Toronto. You know that means Boston's going to win that, right? And the answer is no. Actually, it's the Leafs. Okay, so we will be playing a Canadian team in the conference finals for the 4th consecutive season, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me actually take a look at that. Let me just search on my videos I made. Round 3. Yeah, 3. Let's type in that just for a second. I want to see this for a second. Yeah, literally the last 3 seasons, I'm pretty sure we've played Toronto in the first conference finals. That is when they had Jaskalainen. And then we played against the Canadiens in round 3. Then last year we played against the Sens in round 3. Now we're playing Toronto again in round 3. So I don't know why we always play the Canadian team in the conference finals, but it seems like that's been the trajectory these last few seasons. Anyways, a little bit of a playoff comparison if you guys want to see. We are 8th in goals for. They are 10th, so they're scoring less goals per game than us. But we're 1st in defense. They're 3rd in defense, so this might be a defensive battle, the series. We are better on the power play. We're 6th on the power play, surprisingly. They are 12th. And then penalty kill, they're 4th. We are 11th. So we are the better offensive team, surprisingly. We're the better defensive team, but they're the better penalty kill team. That's basically it. Interesting. All right, let's take a look at how they assimilated during the season and during the playoffs. And then we'll take a look at the roster, but I'm not really too sure what they have on this team at this point in time, if there's still any former players. Like, I don't remember if Hainsey's there anymore or not. So if we go to Eastern Conference, they were the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference that made the playoffs. 17 points back of us, though, which is kind of insane. We just knocked out the 2nd place team, which was the Rangers. They scored 3.38. We scored 3.65. We allowed 2.63. They allowed 3.01. They were 16.9% on the power play. We were 21.4. And on the penalty kill, they were 85.9. We were 87.3. And obviously, we've already seen the playoff comparison. What does their lineup look like at this point in time? Do they have any former players still on them? Because I don't think Jaskalainen is there anymore because he got dealt to like St. Louis. So not too sure what they have. First line, Per Ekman. Don't even think he was there last time we played them. Maybe he was. Miles Canone. And then I also have Phil Michelli. So Phil Michelli's still there, of course. He was with us briefly after a trade with Seattle. We let him go to free agency. And he's been in Toronto ever since. And he had a 50-goal season this year. So Phil Michelli's still a little bit of a threat offensively. Definitely wish he would have done that type of stuff for us, but he didn't. Second line has Brady Smith, Pete Schoenmakers, and Sergei Vorobiev. I think I remember Vorobiev from last time we played them. Third line, Antti Alanen. They also have Harrison Schultz and Ross Cook. And a fourth line, Lee Lop, what a name, Laurent Payet, and Neil Wisniewski. It's an interesting looking team. They don't really have like a crazy forward group, but Ekman's obviously good. Same with Cano, Michelli, Vorobiev. Like, they definitely have guys that could score, but their depth is a little bit weak on the bottom 6, but I'm not going to say it's the worst I've ever seen. From a defensive standpoint, Petri Altonen as their top defenseman. Zane Parekh at 35 years old. Second pairing has Reginald Kelly. Interesting name. Sergei Nikitin. I feel like I've played against this guy before. I don't remember, though, where. And in top 6, Miles Conklin and Landon Morrison. Where was Landon Morrison last? Oh, maybe it was Montreal, because I feel like I have seen him before. Maybe it was on Toronto last, too. I honestly don't even know. I feel like I've definitely played against him in the playoffs at one point. Just don't remember where. And then from a goaltending perspective, they have Richard Prindis. And then, yeah, Pedro Hainsey, our former goalie, is their backup behind Prindis. Interesting. Scratch-wise, they have Kohane Businus, Mitej Mojis, and Bo Duffy. Bo Duffy's such a name, man. All right. Interesting team. Like I said, their offense has some solid players, but not the best depth. Their defensive core is kind of a mixed bag, too. Doesn't have a superstar defenseman, and their goaltending is pretty good. Their depth options are okay. Yeah, I honestly don't know what to make of that. Let's take a look at what their offense has been like during this playoff so far. Like, who's been scoring their goals? Actually, who was their scorers during the regular season, too? I would assume it was Michelli in that top line mostly, but let's take a look at that as well. So Ekman had 93 points. Yeah, Michelli had 84. Canone 77. Zane Parekh, despite being a low overall, could produce. He had 63 points this year. Okay. So there is some guys that don't look the flashiest, but they could actually produce still good. So got to watch out for that. Their goaltenders, Prindis had a 910 and Hainsey had a 908. Okay. What about playoffs so far? Who's been the major threat that we got to watch out for? on this Leafs team. Let's take a look here. Toronto, there. Schoenmakers. Was not expecting to be Schoenmakers. He's leading the team with 12 points in 14 games. They do have some pretty good depth scoring for being more of a defensive team. So, kind of similar to us in a way. And then from a goaltending perspective, Prindis is rocking a .925. He's been really good. And Hainsey's actually played most of one game, and he didn't allow a single goal. So both goalies have been good there. They're a good defensive team. We can't say that they're a bad team by any stretch. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our New York Islanders franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the conference finals against the Toronto Maple Leafs as we look to get to the Stanley Cup finals for the first time in, I think, 4 or 5 seasons. Winner of this series will face either Chicago or Vegas for the Stanley Cup. So think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.